Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hare Krishna.
Oh yeah, once again.
My name is Sitapati Das,
Oh, my name is Danna.
and this is Bhagavad-gītā as it is, chapter 4, text number 7. That's funny. Our picture's not taking up the whole screen, is it?
Yeah.
No, that's a bit
okay.
weird. Hang on, let me try this. Oh, look at this. Look. This makes it bigger to fill the whole screen.
Okay.
That's it. There we go. Beautiful. Here we go. Good evening, Ian Daniel. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the show.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Here we go. Bhagavad-gītā chapter 4, text number 7. This is a real famous verse, this one. Okay, 4:7. You want to read it?
All right. Pero me pongo los
lentes.
extra ojos. Ahí.
Yeah.
Vamos ahí. Okay. It's a bit more clear.
Okay, take it away.
Yada,
No.
yada, hi
Yada,
dharma. Yada, español.
Mhm.
Yada, hi dharmasya, glānir bhavati bharata, abhyutthānam, adharmasya, tadātmānaṁ, sṛjāmy,
Aham.
aham.
Sṛjāmy aham.
Yeah, because the cursor was there. Okay, it was A or C.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yadā.
Whenever,
Yadā.
whenever,
Wherever.
wherever,
He.
certainly.
Wait, not that one. This one. Dharmasya.
Oh. Of religion,
Glāniḥ.
discrepancies,
Bhavati.
manifested. Bhavati manifested. Oh, becomes.
Bharata.
Or descendant of Bharata,
Abhyutthānam.
predominance
Adharmasya.
of irreligion
Tadā.
at that time,
ātmānam.
self
Sṛjāmi.
manifest.
Aham.
I.
Traducción, translation.
Yo.
Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Do the first part.
The word Sṛjāmy is significant herein. Sṛjāmy cannot be used in the sense of creation. Oh, look at the small capital after the.
The full stop?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm.
Should be a comma.
Because according to the previous verse, there is no creation of the Lord's form or body, since all of the forms are eternally existent. Therefore, Sṛjāmy means that the Lord manifests himself as he is.
Okay, so I predict that in the second edition there will be a comma there instead of a full stop.
Hopefully.
And there will also be a comma here after therefore.
Mm-hmm.
Although
That is the minor changes they should be doing, nothing else.
minor corrections, yeah.
Yeah.
But even
correction or changes, correction.
even to do a comma there is like,
It changes the whole
well, no, it's obvious and uncontrovertible, but even that would be like, should we be doing that kind of thing? This one here is like, that's an obvious error. That's also an obvious grammatical error, but even so, yeah. Okay.
What was I?
Although
the Lord appears on schedule, namely at the end of the
Dvāpara-yuga.
Dvāpara-yuga of the 28 millennium of the 8 Manu, in one day of Brahma, still he has no obligation to adhere to such rules and regulations because he is completely free to act or in many ways as he will.
Can you see it on here?
No.
Okay.
It's too small for my
Sure.
eyes. It is too bright as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He therefore appears by his own will whenever there is a predominance of irreligiosity and a disappearance of true religion. Principles of religion are laid down in the Vedas, and any discrepancy in the matter of properly executing the rules of the Vedas makes one irreligious. And the Bhagavad-gītā, it is stated that such principles are the laws of the Lord. Only the Lord can manufacture a system of religion. The Vedas are also accepted as original spoken by Lord himself to Brahma from within his heart. Therefore, the principles of Dharma or religion are the direct orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dharmantu sākṣāt-bhagavat-praṇītam. These principles are clearly indicated throughout the Bhagavad-gītā. The purpose of the Vedas is to establish such principles under the order of the purport.
Purpose, yeah.
Purpose. I would say purpose. Sorry.
You said porpoise.
Oh, okay, turtles maybe.
Yeah.
Purpose of the Vedas is to establish such principles under the order of the Supreme Lord. And the Lord directly orders at the end of the Gita that the highest principle of religion is to surrender unto him only and nothing more. The Vedic principles push one towards completely surrender unto him. And whenever such principles are disturbed by the demonic, the Lord appears. From the Bhagavatam, we understand that Lord Buddha is the incarnation of Krishna who appeared when materialism was in rampant and materialistic were used.
When materialism was rampant.
And materialism were using
El materialismo.
we're using the pretext of the authority of the Vedas. Although there are certain restrictive rules and regulations regarding animal sacrifice for particular purpose in the Vedas, people of demonic tendencies still took to animal sacrifice without reference to the Vedic principles. Lord Buddha appeared to stop this nonsense and to establish the Vedic principles of nonviolence. Therefore, each and every avatar of incarnation of the Lord has a particular mission, and they are all described in the revealed scriptures. No one should be accepted as an avatar unless he is referred to by his scriptures.
By scriptures.
Sorry. It is not a fact that the Lord appears only in Indian soil. He can advance himself anywhere and everywhere, and whenever he desires to appear. In each and every incarnation, he speaks as much about religion as can be understood by a particular people under the particular circumstances, but the mission is the same: to lead people to God consciousness and obedience to the principles of religion. Sometimes he descends personally, and sometimes he sends his bona fide representative in the form of his son or servant or himself in some disguised form.
The principles of the Bhagavad-gītā were spoken to Arjuna, and for that matter, to other highly elevated persons, because he was highly advanced compared to ordinary persons in other parts of the world. 2 + 2 = 4 is a mathematical principle that is true both in the beginner's arithmetic class and in the advanced class as well. Still, there are higher and lower mathematics. In all incarnations of the Lord, therefore, the same principles are taught, but they appear to be higher and lower in varied circumstances. The higher principles of religion begin with the acceptance of the 4 orders and the 4 statuses of social life, as will be explained later. The whole purpose of the mission of incarnations is to arouse Krishna consciousness everywhere. Such consciousness is manifest and non-manifest only under different circumstances. Om-jnana-timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmaritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Changes. I want to play that song by Yes. Keep looking for changes. At the end of the Dvāpara-yuga. What? Revised and enlarged in the 28th millennium of the 7th Manu? What?
I thought that was the 8th Manu.
I know. I've been going around.
28 million of the 7th Manu.
I've been going around saying it's the 8th Manu. Hang on. The 8th? Wow. Really? Hang on. Original manuscript, 8th Manu. This appears to be an error. Sri Bhagavatam 1:12-19. Let's have a look. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma. 14 Manus, okay.
Where do they get the 7?
I don't know.
No, that it says.
Here we go. The Manu here referred to herein is the 7th Manu. So 4-1, the Manu is the 7th Manu.
But it's talking about something else.
No, it's not, because it's referring to Bhagavad-gītā 4-1. We're on 4-7, so. Okay, so that was one example. 8, 13, 1, and 11. Let's have a look at those two. Remember how Divyanga said this is how Tripurari Swami had them reading the Gita?
Mm-hmm.
What was it? 8, 7?
Mm-hmm.
1 and 11, right? So 8, 7, 1. No. Okay. Well, did you remember? It's 8, 13, 1. You didn't do very well to remember it and help me with
No,
it.
because you're just flicking the whole thing all the time, and I was just like,
8, 13, 1, and 11. 8, 13. Description of the future Manus. Of the 14 Manus, 6 have been described, from the 7th to the 14th. 1. The present Manu, Shraddhadev, is the 7th Manu. 10 sons of Manu Ikshvaku. Well, that's pretty conclusive right there. Saptamaha. The present Manu, and then 11. But the original manuscript said 8. We're now in the period of Vaivasvata Manu, the 7th Manu. The 8th Manu will be Savarni. The 8th Manu. The present reign is Vaivasvata Manu. Yeah. Okay, Vaivasvata Manu, but then what is this present Manu whose name is Shraddha-deva? Okay, maybe he's got multiple names, but okay.
there has to be a careful study of that.
The sense of creation got changed to there, and look, some of my predictions were correct. A comma, and then a comma was added there. That's an interesting one, from the 8th to the 7th Manu. Demonic got changed to demoniac. I noticed that you said demoniac. What's the justification for that? Advent to manifest. Demonic to demoniac was done in a different change. Demonic. Yeah, bummer. I'd like to see that.
What the scrabbles. Yeah.
I doubt that he wrote demoniac. See, I think the difference between demonic and demoniac is like demonic means like literally a demon, whereas demoniac means kind of like demonic qualities. Let's do this. What is the distinction between terms demonic? I think that's like essentially characteristic. And demoniac, essentially, and this is characteristic. Let's see.
Demoniac sounds more like the action. Demonic is more about like the characteristic. Use a characteristic, yeah, okay.
Okay. Now an adjective form, a noun. A noun. Things that are influenced, demonic, even if one does not. Okay. On the demoniac. The painting had a demoniac quality. How's it being used here? Is it being used as a... I see, whenever such principles are disturbed by the demonic, it says here that it's only an adjective, demonic. Primarily as an adjective.
Just to describe characteristics.
But here is a noun because it's being used as a noun here by the demoniac. But yeah, the demonic what? But, the demonic people. Okay. But you can say, are disturbed by the envious. Or disturbed by the, disturbed by the envious. Prabhupada will use that. So anyway, he can advent himself versus manifest. What does it say about that? None of our dictionaries admit advent as a verb. So what? Wow. Okay.
Advent.
Can advent be used as a verb? Now, it's not authoritative. It's most commonly used as a noun to describe the arrival or coming of something. Verbed into action words, yeah. Often due to popular usage, but advent has not commonly undergone this transformation. Using it as a verb would likely be confusing and is not considered. Does this make sense to you?
You asking the computer to tell you that.
Yeah. The sentence is somewhat unconventional, but may be understandable within a specific context or as a poetical metaphysical expression. The sentence seems to mean that he can appear or manifest himself anywhere at any time according to his will. If the idea is to convey that idea in standard English, however, if this is a line from a religious text, a poem, or a specialized discussion where the unconventional use of advent as a verb is intended for effect, then its meaning could be sufficiently clear to those familiar with the context. Of course it is. It's obvious what it means. But then this guy, Jayadvaita Swami, has gone through it and gone, it's not in the dictionary. What a kind of like a beginning level of intelligence, I say, too much. It's like, the problem here is not too much intelligence. It's like not enough intelligence,
It's so easy to understand that he can advent himself.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do it. Yeah.
What are we doing?
Watch this. Bell curve meme generator. You get it? Generate. You're welcome. There you go. It's a meme.
Okay. All right. Can we go to the...
Yeah, I mean, look, the most advanced artificial intelligence on the planet right now that we have access to is like, sure, it's unconventional, but it makes sense. And then everybody who's been reading the book and who read it back then and everything was like, sure, why not? I understand that. But suddenly you get into the middle of this bell curve. So the problem is not too much intelligence. It's kind of like a mid-range. All right. Back to the thing. Is true both in the beginner's arithmetic class and in the advanced class as well. Why'd that get taken out? It got taken out after 1983, a further edit later. Oh, bogus, man. It's like, and the problem is, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but this is the kind of editing that a lot of it is. It's like, yeah, it's disturbing to me. Okay, so let's go back to the verse itself. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice and a predominant rise of irreligion, or descendant of Bharata, at that time I descend myself. Krishna is explaining why he appears as the purport ended. Srila Prabhupada ended the last purport by saying, the question may arise, why the Lord would appear. A question may now be raised as to why the Lord appears and disappears in this world. This is explained in the next verse. So Krishna explains that, and then the next verse is like crushing too. Whenever and wherever there's a rise in irreligion and a decline in religious practice, at that time I descend myself. So that's the purpose of the Lord's, the external purpose of the Lord's advent, his appearance. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I was reading on Facebook today, Nishringa Das sent it to me. It was an article written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, translated into English for the first time in the 1950s by Srila Narayan Maharaj, about the establishment of Varnashram Dharma. And he was saying in there that this is the Danya-yuga.
Danya-yuga.
Yeah.
Meaning?
like a gift. Let's see what ChatGPT says about Danya-yuga. It's not standard. Okay, yeah, so yeah, we got that. So what would it mean? Blessed or fortunate? What did I say it was?
It's a Danya-yuga.
But what did I say?
It's a gift.
Gift, yeah. The blessed age or the fortunate epoch? That's what he says it is. And he said in the Danya-yuga, there's no need for the Kalki avatar because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to create this golden age in the Kali Yuga.
Yeah.
That's
so
the
that
one that
happens
we're in
500
now.
years ago.
Yeah. And that's why it's important about this 28th Manvantar, the 28th millennium of the 8th Manu, or the 7th Manu. Man, I've been going around saying it's the 8th Manu. It's the 28th millennium of the 7th Manu.
Well, that has to be carefully studied, though.
Well, no, we just did carefully study it. I mean, it says in here that the present Manu is the 7th Manu. And his son is called Ikshvaku. And in the Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna has just said, 4:2, in 1, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, Vivasvata Manu, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. So Ikshvaku is the son of Manu. See? The 10 sons of Manu, Ikshvaku.
But the 7th son is known as Diksha something.
Seventh son.
Dishta.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Dishta, yeah. But he's the 7th Manu. The Manus. But if we're talking about the 7th son, well then now we're into Iron Maiden territory. The 1988 album 7th Son of 7th Son. Dun, dun, dun. You know, it's a technical kind of aspect of the thing. But yeah, Krishna appears to reestablish religion. Why does God need to appear in the world? Well, he does it just for his own pastimes and his own play, but he has like a system. Ian says, is there someone authoritative that you can ask? I guess that's about the whether it's the 7th or the 8th. I mean, the thing is that the source of that, this is authoritative here because this is the this is in the original text itself. Like if I drop this original Sanskrit into here and say translate this. Fun. You don't like this technical stuff, huh?
Boring.
Boring. Are you kidding? It's in Sanskrit. Roughly, Sri Shuka said Manu is the son of Vivasvat and is known as Shraddhadev. He is the 7th in his line, and now listen to his descendants. But the other thing about this is like, how like, what world are we living in where there's this artificial intelligence that I can now access? I can just go in here and like, it's crazy. This thing, I can just chuck Sanskrit in here and it will just translate it straight up and then give a little dissertation on it. I can ask it, like, it speaks computer languages. It speaks human languages. It's crazy. Anyway, okay, you say something now that you find interesting. Something that's not boring for you.
I don't know. I guess we have to go into the
Purport?
current situation, you know, like something applicable, something that people,
Yeah, the faking of the moon landing.
people are going through and maybe experiencing something more present.
Yeah, just the lies about the moon landings.
Okay.
And the moon landing's just the tip of the iceberg.
All right.
They're literally lying about everything. There's just everything that's going on in the human civilization right now. The media, the politicians, everything, it's all based on deception. No religious principles at all. The existence of God, like, as far as the mainstream media, as far as the governments, as far as like science and everything, it's all become captured by the demonic. You know, and they are like, at the very best, they're like, you know, the existence of God is a matter of like personal, private belief, and it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, there are still kind of some people around who insist that, you know, that he is real. And we kind of tolerate their existence as long as they act exactly like everyone who now believes our official doctrine, which is officially the state religion, is atheism. And you're allowed to believe that God exists as long as you don't do anything different from a person who believes in pure atheism. As soon as you start being someone who's like, I don't want to make a wedding cake for a gay couple because, you know, whatever your religious reason is or whatever, you can't do that. You can't do anything. You can't say, I don't want to take this injection because they say, no, there's no religious exemption. No, in other words, they've become fully demonic. And so the Lord advents at that time. I descend myself. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descended at the beginning of this massive rise of irreligion.
Yeah, so if we go into the purport, you know, you can say Krishna, if he doesn't come himself, he sends his son or a representative or himself in disguise. Yeah, so what came to my head when I read that was like, okay, Srila Prabhupada actually came.
Yeah.
You know, and he sends his bona fide representative in the form of his son or servant of himself.
Yeah.
In some disguise. So
that's definitely Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came like 500 years ago. It will be like a 5 seconds, right? In the time of what's his name?
The Manu?
No, in time of Manu or Brahma?
Brahma, yeah. Brahma, Manu.
Yeah.
Either of them.
Yeah.
Definitely Brahma.
So in Brahma time is like 5 minutes later, he's sending his son. But in the human life span is like 500 years later. He sent not only 500 years ago. Like before Srila Prabhupada was his spiritual master, and before that was another spiritual master, and you know all the they say
500 years is only like 6 or 7 human lifetimes.
Except, well, if you live 100 years.
Well, people don't, but if they live 80, it's like five lifetimes. 5 8s are 40. 5 10s.
Yeah, maybe.
7 8 8 8s are 64. 7 8s are 52. Yes. Yeah,
so in that sense, we can think.
56.
Yeah, like Krishna is actually sending all his, you know, representatives or bona fide representatives. He says there, you know, almost often. Because irreligion is growing like faster.
Is it ever?
Yeah, and we're not putting much attention to what actually Krishna is doing this time. You know, he wants us to go back and It's like I will send you this, and I will send this one for them to preach and put religion back. But we are so unpurified to not even notice that or be grateful for what we have in front of us. Yeah.
I watched this video just before Machakunda sent it. It's from One World News or something they're called. One or something. It's One India World India One Online whatever news. And it's about the moon landing. And then they're like, oh, the West is calling it fake and criticizing us, and they're linking it to like reparations for Britain for 45 trillion extracted from the Indian economy, etc. During the colonization of it. It wasn't even colonization, it was occupation. But what's interesting about that is they want to their way of defusing this conspiracy theory that it was faked is by turning it, saying it's racist. But to see that the powerful thing about Srila Prabhupada's criticism of the moon landings as being fake is that you can't say that Srila Prabhupada is racist against India. So when Srila Prabhupada says the moon landings are fake, and he starts off by saying the US moon landing is fake and it's a collaboration between demonic elements of the Russian and US control apparatus, faking it for people. That's what he said. Now in 2023, 50 years later, India fakes a moon landing and they're like, oh, it's racist, it's the West. And if you didn't say that the US moon landing was fake before, you can't really call out the Indian one as fake without them going like, well, it's racist. But Prabhupada called out the US one as fake back then.
Yeah.
So they want to control the narrative that people have. And, people are always like, oh, the moon landing thing, it's not the main thing. But Prabhupada was like straight up on that. It's fake. It's deception. Everything they're doing is deception.
It's all created in the lab.
Yeah. And now they're doing it to India. They're introducing a new state religion. It's atheistic. It has foundational miracles.
That's the last thing that we'd like to see, like India, which is the center of bhakti and religion.
Yeah.
Getting
get your faith in the miracle of science. We went to the moon, but they faked it. They're lying. And then the thing about that is that it's so poisonous what they're doing. They're so expert in manipulating the minds of the humans because they're saying to them that to believe that the moon landing was faked is to believe in this colonial Western, they're telling them that these people are envious of us and they're trying to control your mind by telling you that it's fake. That's why it's so powerful that Srila Prabhupada came out and said it was faked. Thanks, Rawiri. Said looking sharp with the glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, so powerful that Srila Prabhupada, who's from India, came out and said about the American moon landing that it was fake. People will like walk right past us, you're like, oh, what's the big deal about that? It's a foundational miracle. Like when they brought in the whole pandemic and everything, if you believe that the moon landing was real, you just believe the science, follow the science. They can go to the moon. They know what they're doing. They're more powerful than these primitive people with their scriptures because they can go to the moon. No, they can't. It's faked. They can't go to the moon. They can't go to the moon.
All right.
They faked it.
Okay. So the Maori thing?
Let's do it. I could go on for hours about the fake moon landing.
Yeah, and I want to go to sleep. Thank you.
Right. I want to talk about the moon landing. Translate the Gita to Te Reo Māori. We're doing 5747 now. There was no change in the translation, which is good. None. Whenever there is a decline in righteousness, is it? That's not what it says. In religious practice and a predominant rise of irreligion. No. Whakapono. That's religious practice, huh? Whakapono. A Uriyo Bharata, son of Bharata, descendant. Inawa inawahi e heke anate whakapono. Uriyo Bharata a e piki nui anate kore whakapono. I era wa ka heke ahau ano. In the moments, in the places, there is a decline in the faith, O son of Bharata, and there is an increase, a great increase in the lack of faith. In that time, I will descend myself. Yeah, that's cool. Let's punch this into the reverse translator. Let's see what it comes back with.
English.
I hope it says faith.
Just thinking.
Yeah.
It took a while. And righteousness, they call it, or the descendant of Bharata.
Now this, yeah, okay, but the problem with this, you see, is that what it's done here, you see how it's reverse translated it to this?
To what it initially brought it, right?
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
you caught it.
Mm-hmm.
It reverse translated it to this.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. Well, okay, so here's another sanity check on this,
Mm-hmm.
which is Google Translate. I think at times in places where faith declines, descendant of Bharata, and unbelief increases, at those times I also decline.
Oh, no.
Well, it means descend.
Descend, but decline is completely different, isn't it? Okay.
Migrate. Will. Place, phase, time. This means like will. So if I grab those two, can't. Okay, well, there you go. That's it. Inawahi. Eheke anate whakapono. E Uriyo Bharata. A e piki nui anate kore whakapono. I era wa ka heke ahau ano. Ahau ano. And in the Sanskrit, yadā hi dharmasya glānir bhavati bhārata abhyutthānam adharmasya tadātmānaṁ sṛjāmy aham.
Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice or descendant of Bharata and a predominant rise of irreligion, at the time I descend myself.
Jai. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Jai.
Total world victory of Hare Krishna. Thanks for tuning in.
Hare Krishna.
The moon landing was faked. Jai Srila Prabhupada.